Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. Today's video closes out Karja Cowardly Dog Month with a look at the one piece of visual media from this franchise that its creator, John Dilworth, was not involved in. Namely the Scooby-Doo crossover movie called Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. A pretty straightforward title, if I may say so myself. And I have a lot of thoughts about this movie, most of them unflattering. I'll start with the positives because I can recognize that there are some. First of all, I have to say every performance is spot on. You can tell that the people who who have played these characters have played these characters for a while, because they know just how to emphasize and how to breathe life into them, and just how to emphasize their distinctive quirks and features. You have and all of them stick very well to to what the general perception of these characters actually is. You have Eustace here, who is still kind of a grumpy asshole. You have Muriel, who is still kindly and wants to or tries to be helpful to everyone. You have Velma, who is who's a genius investigator, but with little street smarts. You have Freddy, who's who is an adventurous leader, and so on and so forth. I have to say, from the way the plot is set up, I think Daphne kind of gets screwed over because she doesn't really get a lot to do. But overall, every character is as you would know and as you would expect them. The second thing I want to talk about is just how many references to Courage the Cowardly Dog this movie manages to squeeze into its quite compact runtime. Most of them are Easter eggs and various freeze frame moments, but they do add a sense of dimension and a sense of history and color to the to the actual setting, and make it come across as even just somewhat more organic. The third and perhaps highest compliment I can pay this movie is the fact that its humor, its jokes, its gags land almost every time. The comedic sensibilities of these franchises mesh quite well together, and you and you and you get a great chuckle out of them, regardless out of all of the jokes and gags, regardless of which characters are actually involved during them. If anything, I'll say that the Scooby-Doo style of humor tends to be favored by the parody, but there is the parody, P-A-R-I-T-I, parody. The parody tends to favor the Scooby-Doo gags, but Courage's style of humor does still crop up every now and then. Now that I'm done praising this movie, I have to go to the negatives, because unfortunately there are quite a few, and I'm gonna go through them, starting with the pettiest and ending with the most serious. First of all, the pettiest is I have some complaints about the animation. Now, for the most part, actually, the animation is pretty good. It's quite serviceable. The composition works. The color palette is pretty well chosen, and you can follow what's supposed to be going on. But there are some moments where it dips into some into some very uncanny moments. Now, I have praised Courage's show in the past for knowing how to use uncanny animation, but in those cases it was used quite carefully in order to emphasize one specific element of the setting or of the story. And for that reason, I miss that. I miss that here. It's just it's just there stinking up the movie. Secondly, the title song sequence as well as the final scene uh, pretty much wreck any goodwill I had towards this movie. The style of humor that is that those things are trying to bring in or showcase does not suit the rest of the setting very well, and in fact it kind of runs contrary to the actual characterization that that the characters involved um, have displayed, both within the past of these franchises and within the actual movie itself, which is disappointing. Thirdly, I am not a big fan of the mystery. The plot is serviceable. Like, it is easy enough to follow it as it goes from A to B to C and so on. But the mystery is somewhat poorly laid out. Like, there are plenty of red herrings presented throughout, but there isn't really enough, I'll say, primary evidence linking the people who are actually are the villains to to their deeds, which I personally find quite disappointing. The the fourth and final and most damning criticism I can give this movie is the fact that it doesn't understand what makes Courage the Cowardly Dog a memorable and beloved show, and instead just uses its setting as a backdrop for its poorly laid out mystery, because creepy things happen in nowhere. And there are two ways in which that comes to show. First of all, the fact that the Courage cast does not really assist the Scooby Gang when it comes to investigating this mystery. Aside from a brief moment where Courage's desktop flirts with Velma's tablet, the Courage cast kind of just exists in this movie to either participate in the gags somehow, or get targeted by the villain. But otherwise, yeah, that's not exactly stellar participation. Also, there is the small fact of how this movie handles Courage himself. One of the subplots of the movie, or I'll say the main subplot of the movie, is the fact that Shaggy has a self-help audiobook that helps him navigate his fear. And within this subplot, Courage also gets roped in and also, learns these lessons. And as I was watching this, and as I was watching how this movie tries to embody overcoming fear, all I could do is stand there and think, Courage does not need this lesson. If anything, Courage should be the one who gives this lesson, because by this point, both within his own show and perhaps even outside of it, he has perhaps faced his own fears hundreds of times. He has a lot of experience confronting them. He would have the necessary insight into when it comes to how to overcome it. But instead of being a mentor figure, an active mentor figure at that, who would teach others by doing it himself, he is just a mentee for a lesson that he would have actually learned, which has made this movie quite frustrating. I do appreciate that Courage has a major, or I would even argue the main role in the final battle, but by that point, that is just too little too late. This movie's fate has already been sealed. Overall, while I recognize that this movie has some bright spots, it still comes across as a quite poor run of the Scooby-Doo straight-to-video movie mill. My final rating for Straight Outta Nowhere, Scooby-Doo Meets Courage the Cowardly Dog, is a 2 out of 5. And that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like, and maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to any part of what I said, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about more bookish or literature topics, which you will find in the description, linked in the description down below, right past my social media, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to do so. Until next time, I have been the One Take Man.